them.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, 1 second, and I'm just waiting on the notification. And thank you again, ma'am. All righty. Okay, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have an incredible guest with us all the way from St. Louis, Missouri, who's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than Sister Denice Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
My family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast. This means a lot to us that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come and come talk to us today. My sister Miriam says assalamu alaikum. Boom. Okay, so Sister Denice.
Yes, sir.
The first question we would like to know, ma'am, is when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Well, I was 11 when I first heard the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the mosque in on Grand Avenue, and I lived right down the street from the mosque, and some of the believers lived in my neighborhood. And I was 11, and I always wanted to see what was in that building, that mosque, and they had a advertisement, a big bulletin board. And, you know, being 11, you know, I climbed up there and watched the Muslims each day when they would come out of the mosque. I would make sure I was there to climb up there to just look at them. And I know they were Black people, but they didn't look like regular Black people. And I went home and I told my mother I wanted to be a Muslim. And she said, you can't be a Muslim because they hate white people. And I couldn't understand that. I say, well, if they hate white people, why do we hate one another as Black people, Mama? You know, I was trying to understand it. And she said, well, they don't eat pork. I said, okay. You know, I'm 11, but I just wanted to be a Muslim. The sisters looked so beautiful in their garments. And I just want to be one of them. And that was my first encounter with Brother Williams and Sister Pearl. I don't know, may Allah be pleased with them, even if they still around. But they influenced me with that squash pie I had never eaten before, and the papers. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. And my sister Miriam sends the greetings, and thank everyone else who was liking, sharing, and subscribing to the People's Podcast. So at 11 years old, then when did you finally accept the teachings?
In 1985. Okay. 1985, I came into the nation, and I was one of the brothers was talking to me and giving me tapes of the minister, and I always wanted to know about Jesus, you know, because I come from the church, but he explained Jesus in a way that I never heard it before. And I remember when he dropped it on me, Brother Josh.
Yes, ma'am.
I was up to 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep because, you know, I woke up and I couldn't go back to sleep. Like after he told me who Jesus was and explained it all to me. And in 1985, I made my way to the mosque, you know, and I was listening, and then my letter was accepted in December 1985. And my whole life had changed after that. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so let us go to 1985. How did your family and friends feel about you accepting the teachings?
Oh, now that was a whole new door that had never been opened. Well, my family had a meeting on me, and they thought that something was wrong with me because I could not leave the church and come to the mosque, and we need to join together and talk to her. Like she don't know what she's doing and all of that. And they didn't like it too well in the beginning because they thought I was changing my religion, you know, being a Muslim. And I was the only one out of my family to to be a Muslim. And so the opposition was fierce, especially once the headpiece came on my head. They were all right with me talking about it, but once the headpiece, it was like, oh no, she's a nun. They didn't really understand. And they of course they made fun of me, but I stood my ground, I had to stand my ground, Brother Josh, because even though I didn't know a lot about the teachings, but I stayed in my classes, and I'm telling you, those classes, they are there for a reason. And it was like my family had deserted me because I became a Muslim, and the Muslims became my family. So they had to, hurl me in, and I was part of their family, and I felt, you know, I felt a part of something, once I became a member and the Muslims brought me in. Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Excellent. What? Who trained you? Like once you came in, and speaking of those classes, like who were like the laborers? Who was the sisters who taught you what you know?
Well, when I came in, Sister Deborah, may Allah be pleased with her. She was our sister captain, and Sister Ania, Brother Whitehead's wife, was my processing teacher. And my processing experience was so beautiful, Brother Josh, because we started off with like 30 sisters, and I kept looking back and looking back. And then one day I looked back and it was just me. I was the only one in the class. But the beauty about my processing teacher, Sister Ania, she kept coming. Even though it was just me, she kept coming. So I looked at that as I was having private session, when you just one-on-one, and I could ask her any questions. And I mean, I was hungry, Brother Josh. I was hungry because, what I was learning had expanded my mind. And and Sister Deborah was the sister captain, and Sister Anya was the first officer, and Minister Donald was the minister of the mosque, and brother Robert was the minister, Brother Wahid's brother, and then Minister Donald, took over the mosque, and then because we were still in East St. Louis, and then we came over to St. Louis. Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Okay. And on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we want to thank you for your sacrifice and the sacrifice of your family for helping to establish Islam in St. Louis, man, and holding it down. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. What was it like meeting the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Oh, wow. I felt like I had met my father. And I always call myself the minister's daughter, even though I never was up close on him a lot, but he's always been my father at a distance, because my father passed away when I was 5 years old. So I never knew my father. I never knew anything about him. I just remember his words always in my ear about being his beautiful Black baby doll, and don't ever forget that. And not too long after that, he passed away, but I never saw his face. But when I heard the minister, I felt like I had met my father. And he groomed me, from a distance. I just feel like, I'm not saying anytime you come into it, it's always good. But during the 80s, I mean, we got that tender loving care,
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
we
ma'am.
were put in incubators, so I was glad that I came in at that time. And the way I was handled was like not a baby, but like I was sacred, and I had never experienced that ever in my life. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. And what are your parents' names, ma'am?
My mother name is Alamay, and my father name was William Lester Anderson. And my mom, she didn't understand Islam, but she understood me. When I was making this move, her pastor uh, didn't want me in the church or something because I had my headpiece on it. My mother stood up right in the church and looked at her pastor and said, "That's my daughter and I support her and we all serve the same God." And I looked at my mother like, so that's where I got my tell it like it is boldness from, was from little Alamay, because she was 4 feet 11 inches tall, my mother.
Mm-hmm.
But she was very, very powerful and a very spiritual mother, my mother. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Yes, ma'am. Well, when did you go from seeing the minister as maybe a public speaker or an activist to someone who was divinely guided?
When?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to remember. It's so, because he did a lot of fireside chat with the MGT when we were coming in, and he, one day I was listening to one of his tapes, and he was talking about me, but he wasn't there. The tape was talking about me, and he said, "Look at you, woman of God." And that time I was just out, he said, falling off a bar stool. At that time I did fall off a bar stool, but it was like, what are you doing out here? Because I had a grip spiritually when I was in the church, and it's like I knew better. But that world was so exciting, I thought. And then, coming into the nation, it gave me roots. Even though I didn't quite understand everything, I stayed because it was excitement. It was new. I was learning, I was growing, and my children were growing right along with, and I was learning things that my mother worked all the time. So she never had time to really uh really train me a lot. So she handed my sister and I over to this lady. Zachariah was in charge of Mary, where we had a Zacharias, a female, and she, at 9 and my sister was 10, she handed us over to this lady to train us in God, she said, because she said she wanted us to be good girls. And so my godmother took a hold of me and a lot of my development from the church. And so I equated with the minister, after her guidance. And then when I came into the nation, the minister became my spiritual food. And I believed what he said because I saw a lot of things, what he said, come to pass. As he was growing, and watching him grow, watching him uh, tell us things. And he said he's in a boxing ring, and if he float or whatever he does, just stand on the sideline and watch him do this. And I never met a man like that in my life, but I always knew he was my father. So he just did so much, Brother Josh, and just to keep coming back no matter what his illness was. He just kept coming back, like, even from death's door, he came back from that. So he's just always been a inspiration, and a man to look up to, a man, because that's one reason why I came into the nation, because I asked my sons, what do you want to be when you grow up? And my son said, Mama, I want to be a man. I said, you don't want to be a doctor or something? He said, no, Mama, I want to be a man. And I say, well, let me see the type of me, and let me find let me find one for you, son. And then when I saw the minister, I said, okay, that's the type of man I want my son to be. And we've been hooked ever since. All of us. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent. Well, I want to make sure I thank you, and I see some people showing love. Thank you all for watching. Brother Derek 3X says, He knows what you mean, sister. He's the only Muslim in your family. And thank everyone who continues to watch the People's Podcast. Excuse me. I want to have a quick 60-second commercial break. Sister Denice, for all the sponsors of this month's People's Podcast, and we're going to come right back. We have a few more questions for you, but we are very grateful. I want to make sure I shout out all of the sponsors who this podcast is brought to you by this month. We're starting off a new season, or a new month, and I just want to thank everybody. If you'd like to be a sponsor or donor, please cash app the People's Podcast, $sign the People's Podcast. My brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. If you need any of that, please reach out to him. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book, both of which are available on Amazon. Please go get those. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. And right here in the studio in Atlanta, Georgia, we love our tiny dancers. Sister Rashida Rafat, Rod Communications. She's doing a special 5-year anniversary special promotion. If you're working on a book and you need content editing, media relations, anything dealing with your book, Sister Rashida Rafat and Rod Communications is the place to go. Please reach out to her. Our sister, hold on one second. Our student minister out of Austin, Texas, Robert L. Muhammad, Conflict Mediation, Squashing the Beef. He does a great work in the community. His wife, Sister Fudia Muhammad, Children of the Most High, an amazing book about giving birth to a God and the science of child rearing. Thank you very much. Brother Kenneth, bow tie maker extraordinaire. He'll ship bow ties to you anywhere in the country. And Sister Sherry Muhammad, Asiatic Minds online, asiaticminds.com, raising young kings and queens. They do phenomenal jobs virtually. If you want to send your children to a school virtually or grandchildren, please reach out to Sherry Muhammad. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 Disinfecting Cleaning Services. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, AbdulSharif.com, and his new book, Down Is Not Out. Please go get that. And last but not least, my 2 books, Cleopatra with a K and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Thank you all very much. And we're right back with our sister Denice Muhammad. Thank you very much. Pardon me, Sister Denice. Apparently, some sneezing going on. Okay, and thanks to Love It. Okay, now, Sister Denice, my next question for you, ma'am, is in St. Louis, outside of the arches, there's been known to be some crime, or I don't know what the climate was like since 1985 moving forward. But have you ever been faced with fear? And if so, how have you overcome that fear?
In St. Louis. Well, I'm trying to, Brother Josh, it's 9 of us, okay? And I have 6 brothers, my biological brother, and they were like the security team for the 3 females in our family, and because a couple of my brothers were so wild, people were afraid of them. They were so scared of my brothers. I mean, they had a reputation in St. Louis, and so was my family. They were boxers like Corey Spink and Leon Spink Jr. and Daryl Spink. So they were all boxers, and I don't know, people just, they never bothered me because it was a lot of us. And when I say a lot, I mean quite a bit of us. So I just never went in strange places, and you never knew we were kin to each other because we all didn't look alike. So you never know if a family member was like my cousin, his name was Robert, and he didn't look like me, so people didn't know that we were kin to each other. And they were going to, I guess, jump me or something, and he just came out of nowhere and said, you're not getting ready to jump my cuz, Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And each time I had to fight, it was always somebody come in take over the fight. I
mm.
don't know how that happened, but they would try to be, they try to get me, but one of my relatives will always come in and says, you know, you're not getting ready to jump on my cuz, you know, fight me. So, you know, it wasn't that I wasn't afraid, Brother Josh.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a mindset that I've always had. You know, if it's time to throw down, let's get it. You know, let's do it, and let's make sure that this is a good fight where you see blood and black eyes. I mean, you know, because I didn't like the fight, but I said, well, let's have a good fight, and they would say, no, that's enough. I said, no, let's see blood. Let's knock
Yes,
teeth
ma'am.
out. I mean, let's do it big, because I couldn't keep fighting people. I didn't understand that process. Yes, sir.
Great. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir.
Thank everyone who continues to watch. So many people are showing you love, and I can't wait to put this on YouTube. A sister, I want to make sure I read the comments. Sister Sonia Muhammad says, all
Sister
praise
Sonia.
Sonia. She says she misses you. Mine's number 28. Wow, the memories. Okay, great.
Yes.
My next
I'm
question.
sorry. Wait a minute. Hold on. Sister Sonia was my lieutenant. Okay. And let me tell you a beautiful thing about Sister Sonia. I'm glad she called in. I was a 25 with 2 children. Sister Sonia was 16. Okay. And she was my lieutenant, and she trained me at 16, you know, and I mean, she trained me thorough. You know, she and I submitted to her. Even though she was younger than me, I submitted to her. And that's a lesson for anyone that's coming in and feel like, you know, what can she teach me? And Sister Sonia, thank you, Sister Sonia. I can't remember everything. Taught me, she trained me as well. Yes, sir. But Josh, thank you, sister. And I love you too.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Excellent. My next question is, what was the climate like for the Million Man March in St. Louis? And what was it? How did you feel once it happened as a sister?
Oh, wow. We were hyped in St. Louis. I mean, I was told by Brother Akbar Muhammad that we had the biggest delegation. I mean, if I can use the word baptized with the Million Man March.
Yes, ma'am.
I was baptized with it, Brother Josh. I mean, like every waking moment was Million Man March, and I was in college, and Dr. Henry Givens allowed me to set a table up to recruit people for the Million Man March. And I was, you know, it was like, I had a thing with the Million Man March. Like, I would ask brothers, have you ever been out of St. Louis? And they say no. I said, have you ever been to East St. Louis? They said no. I said, well, what do you know about your world, black man? And he was like, I'm going. And then the brother that went, when he came back, I said, so how was it? He just cried, Josh. He just started crying because he said, I had never seen anything like this, you know, and I was so involved. I was so involved until I forgot I was married and had a home, Josh. You know, and I was just wanted it to happen. That was the first time that I had ever thrust myself into something so dramatic. And Brother Donald was training me how to speak on the radio, and they did a television program. That was my first time being out there, because I was like, and Brother Donald would say, come out of the mosque, come into the community. And I was like, okay, what mindset is that? And, because sisters were, saying, why is it all brothers and we should be able to go? And I was like, when you want to meet with just all men, and you can't meet with them in your house because it's too many of them. So, they need to go and meet with the man. And they were, and I said, and then it's only $75. The buses were $75. And then they was trying to get the brother. I mean, planes were full in St. Louis. And I mean, we were just making it happen. And I remember on the radio, I said, because they was like, how did I know that they were coming? I said, okay, sort of in Scientology, I think they call when you visualize. I said, look at the mall. You see the mall? No one's on there right now. I said, you see feet, men coming? They said, yeah, I see them coming, but your feet need to be in there with them now. And I said, when the last time you and your brothers all got together? When? Never. That's why you need to be there. History is being made and you're not a part of it. Now, what are we going to do about that? And sisters, we've been saying, man, they need to get themselves together. Now it's happening. You can't support them. $75. Come on now. And I mean, they were coming out their pockets. He coming, driving them up to the Sears building, and they were getting on the bus, before that get on the bus. That's what the get on the bus was about in St. Louis. Yes, sir. It was, I mean, educated people and even the professor at the college. I said, I know you going. And he said, I said, yes, sir. This is a predominantly Black college. Harris Stowe State. That's a Black college. Why you not going? He said, well, I'll be there. And he showed up, and it was just Allah blessed us here in the city of St. Louis, but I was good and tired, Josh. I had to tell you, I was exhausted because I had never exerted my energy like the way that I did constantly until the time. But I wore myself out, but I didn't care. I felt like this was the cause to be part of, and I just wanted everybody to go. I mean, because this is your time, Black man. You've been talking about it. Okay, let's make it happen. And and it happened, and it was one of the most joyous thing as far as the Million Man March. I mean, it was a buzz all over St. Louis, the radio station. I mean, St. Louis was real excited about it and made it happen.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Excellent. Okay, great. And I love to hear the history about the Million Man March and during that time period. Okay, well, in your personal life, what has been your greatest trial and how have you overcome that?
My personal life was when I lost family members. In 1 month, I lost 6 family members. The young people in my family were getting shot or whatever. And it was week after week after week. And every week we were having funerals. And I was like, I'm not going to nobody else's funeral. And that last person that died was my stepfather, that I was close to. And I remember like Job in a whirlwind of grief and sorrow, because I was like, every week somebody's dying, Allah. And Allah took me to Job. He took me to Job. And when I read that he was bombarded with grief, everything was happening, and it didn't let up, it kept going, and disaster kept happening to him, and how Job looked at things, your view of things, you have to change your view and not get caught up in the grief. And I changed my view, and I could handle it better, once I wasn't grieving. It's like people say in the church, you got to put it all in God's hand.
Yes, ma'am.
And let go, which is the title of my first book.
Oh, I didn't know you wrote a book.
I'm writing it, Brother John. I'm writing it right now. I got so many books, but that's one I'm writing, letting go, and then I let go, and I changed my whole view, outlook. It gave me that drive to keep going, because I mean, if he had to stop when his children were killed, if he had to stop when they took away his wealth, we probably wouldn't be talking about Job.
That's a
But
fact.
I see why we're talking about him, because all of us at some point, go come to that fork in the road where we have to see, or we, like you have to accept the things that you cannot change, and the courage to change what you can, and I kept saying, give me the strength to accept the things I can't change death. I can't change people dying. I can't change people leaving here. The only person I can change is me, and so that's what I was working on, the inner me. Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. But what about the greatest joy?
Oh, greatest joy. I have to say my sons.
Mm, mm.
Okay. I have two sons, and um when I say my sons and they were with me, they were with me. I mean, no event, Black event that they had at community, it would be me and my two sons. And because I wanted them to love being Black, that you don't have to change who you are. And I took them everywhere with me. When I worked at the nursing home, they worked at the nursing home. I mean, I was teaching them how to deal with their elders, and when our elders was out in the cold, I would stop the car, and they were like, "Mama, you don't even know her." I say, "I know, but she's out in the cold." In other words, I lived this life. I wasn't just saying I'm a Muslim. I was showing my sons that this is the road for you, and I didn't leave the church per se, because it's a way of life. Jesus' way is a way of life,
Yes,
just
ma'am. Yes,
like
ma'am.
Islam. So I just transferred that and added on to what I was learning, to be about it, and not just talk about it, but to be who I say that I am. And I wanted to show my sons. I even finished college just for my sons, to show them that you can. It's nothing that you can't do. And even when they were small, Brother Josh, these are my greatest joy. And my sons was making F's in school, and I turned around and I told the people in the store that this was one of the greatest human beings you could ever know, right here, my son. And so he said, "Mama, why you telling them that? I make F's." I said, the grade is not you. I'm talking about what's in you. And even when they were babies, Josh, I was putting God in them while they were still in my womb. Before I knew about how to give birth to a God, I was giving them back to God. So that was my greatest joy, and watching them come and be part of what the nation, what I believe, and when I went to the study circle, they went to the study circle. And when I had to train them at home and sit them on a couch and say, and give them a newspaper or something to color or draw, and to put the minister on. And when they would move, I would say, "The minister is on." I'm training them at home. And then when they would get up and move, I would say, "The minister is on." Because I had to train them here, because they were gonna go with me wherever I went, and I didn't want them to embarrass me. Although my son did try me. He tried me at the market, Brother Josh. I mean, he just fell out and started crying and yelling and screaming. And the people were looking. And I say, "That's right, gather around, because a mother lose her mind twice a year." And I started looking at my watch, Brother Josh, and I said, "I think it's about time for me to lose my mind. You see this child here?" And he looked up, and he jumped up off the ground like, "I better get up," because all these people looking at me. I say, "Yeah, this is gonna be the greatest story ever told." Right? So, that's always been my greatest joy, is my son. And when people said that he wasn't gonna live to get 21, and I was trying to tell them, they don't know you. They, you know how people say they don't know you, they don't know what's in you, you know,
Yes, ma'am.
God in you. And he went to Job Corps and graduated early before his class and had a trade. And he was making more money than me, Brother Josh, you know, because he listened to his inner man. Because I always believe to allow people to be themselves, to develop on their own without interruption. You know, I said, if you jacked up and you know you jacked up, then unjack yourself, you know, come
Yes,
back,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
come back to present time. Yes, sir. That's it.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Great advice for great mothering advice. My sister Miriam says beautiful example of a mother, and Sister Sonia says teach Sister Denice. Okay, excellent. Speaking of mothers, you told me that you knew my moms. Um, can you tell us, like, how'd you meet my moms? Like, I don't know. How'd you meet my moms?
Uh, she was a Vanguard captain, I believe, your mother. And Sister Aisha was the national MGT captain. But anyway, you know, just watching her work, because we were all in it together, you know, as sisters. So as a minister's training, he training us all of us, your mother and sister. We were all there, you know, and it was all new to being trained, you know, by a man. And the minister, he didn't spare us either, you know, but he had a different way of spanking you, Brother Josh. I mean, it's like he didn't beat us, you know, he spanked us, but he always had the oil there to pour it in our womb. You didn't even know you were spanked. It's and that's the beauty of it, not knowing it, but you got it, and you know why you got it, but you didn't want to leave, you know, you loved him because he spanked you. You know, because he whooped you, but he did it with love. You know, and and your mother and all of us watching them be examples for us, you know, because we got to build this nation. And that was your mother. Like the young people say, we got to get it. We got to get it done. Like not yesterday, but today. And so that's why I had to call Sister Pamela, you know, Brother Ralph's wife, because I said, I'm affected. You know, I feel like I have lost, you know, she was part of my training, your mother. And Sister Captain, you know, Aisha, you know, because we had to stay as a unit, the sisterhood, in order to have a cohesive group. So as sisters came in, you know, the training and the you know, the drilling and the MGT class, because we didn't have what we had now. You know, we had to create the books.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Create
Yes, ma'am.
curriculum, you know, but we were making it happen, you know, and I love humble beginnings, because that's like a stabilization process. We even had a class called stabilization. And you know, to stabilize us, because you know, when you bring the fish, the minister say, out the water, you can't keep it near the bank. So they was creating another area where the fishes were, you know.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Beautiful.
So we needed a balance of the nurturing, but we needed the roughness too, because, and that's what I didn't understand being a member of the nation. I understood the spiritual, but what's all this left, right, left, you know, and dressing and and you know, we would give our lives for the minister. I was like, wait a minute, is this true? Is this guy, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
But I stayed because it was something holding me there, you know, and that's what the minister said. I had to teach the way that I did because I needed to hold you all, you know, and I didn't want to teach you away. So I had to keep teaching you out of your tight jeans, out of your mini skirt, and then we had sisters that were example in front of us, that, and your mother was one of them, and all the other sisters, And like, it can be done, you all. It can be, and you can love this, you know. So that's why I said she a great example. May Allah be pleased with her, and I that's why her leaving had affected me, because I just couldn't imagine not having your mother. I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
But it was it's beautiful because so many lives that she touched. Oh my God. Yes, sir, with her life. So that's all I want to say. I mean, if you know, I hope I answered your question.
Oh no, you did. Praise be to Allah. Excellent, excellent. And thank everybody for watching. Okay, my next question for you, ma'am, is what type of music do you like to listen to?
Oh wow. Well, I like classical Yorama, Yruma. I like jazz. I used to teach children, and one of the parents say, "Are you listening to jazz?" And I said, "Yeah." And the children were listening too, because it was like a transition. You know, the jazz music was transitioning, and I like R&B. I like Johnny Gill. Sorry, I like
Johnny Gill.
I like Johnny Gill.
Johnny Gill makes hits. He got hits.
Oh yeah, I like Johnny Gill. You know, I like After Seven.
I like After Seven.
You know, I like a lot of the different groups. I like silent music, you know, just no words, just music that takes me wherever I want to go. I like the like music and you know, I forgot what they call those artists, you know, Erykah Badu, people that you know, I like a little Jill Scott, you know.
Okay.
And the new artists, I like Alame. I listen to people's tone voice. Of course, I love Stevie, you know, forever.
Yes, ma'am.
And let's see.
Well, Sister Denice, a lot of people say I sound like Stevie Wonder. Tell me what you think.
All right, bring it on.
You know, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to cause a riot on the podcast, but you know, I'll sing it later. But yes,
okay, because I want to hear you, Brother John.
I mean, they say it sounds just like Stevie Wonder. They say, man, it's like word for word. I mean, I'm like note for note. I'm like, it's all right, just keep it cool. Yes, ma'am. But my next question for you is, let's talk about your book. When do you plan on releasing it?
I'm still working on it, because it's the first time that I've started books inside of me, and I have titles of it, but this is the first time that I'm ever sitting down to write it, because being part of the Million Man March, and I was part of the Million Woman March, and the Million Family March, you know, and 10-10-15 Justice. You know, all of that, and being in the nation, it has affected me, and it's like not overload, but I got so much, you know, I have to you know, put it in little piles.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. So but you know, sometimes we really do stuff and we say, man, I wish I had to just let go, you know, and just been me, you know. If I sing Stevie Wonder, you know, because this is one thing I always wanted to do, and that was, I wanted to do gospel music, but I wanted to put it in Islam, that we can do, you know, Kirk, we can do some Islam music. And because they put me out of the choir because they said they didn't know who I was singing to, because I thought I could still stay in the choir, you know. And they said, no, you might slip out and say Allah, and we ain't with that, you know. I said, well, what difference does it make? I'm not singing to you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, you know, that's what I wish, you know, we can that all music is, the music is beautiful, and that you can express yourself. And because I seen, people in the nation, the talent shows express themselves, and I have some of their CDs, and I like it. Brother Hakeem, I know one, it's talking about being at ground zero, got to be my own hero. I mean, I mean, and I listen to some of the people in the nation, what Allah is giving them to come out with. And I just love it. So, your question in reference to, you were talking about the type of music that I like, but this question that you was asking me, everything, I believe, Brother Josh, is a part of you. Everything and everybody, even little children. I mean, Allah speaks to whomever he pleases. He
That's
gives
right.
and he speaks. And I've learned to just listen to people. Even children, and I say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You just a child. But the child has something powerful in him, just like I did as a child. So yes, sir.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Excellent. And my sister Naima sends the greeting.
Oh, I like it so.
And okay, great. Thank you very much. And okay, so here's my next question for you, ma'am. If you could see God and he could ask you one question, what I mean, if you could ask him one question, what would you ask him?
If I can see God
Face to face, just you and him, one-on-one.
it's one-on-one, what would I ask him?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm seeing him face to face.
Absolutely.
I would not be so glad to be there. I would be so happy. Hey, if this was the end result, me and God, I'm so happy to be here. Mm-hmm. Now I don't want to ask you anything. You just tell me.
Okay.
It used to be a song, Brother Josh. We used to say, Lord, tell me what you want me to say. What you want. I mean, you in total submission mode. I'm in his presence, total submission.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am.
I couldn't even think. Yes, sir. I was just thinking about that. I don't know. Because I just believe that whatever is happening is predicted to happen. Just like I didn't realize Criterion was going to unfold so fast.
Yes, ma'am.
And as soon as he said it, and then this was happening, and he said, if you be wise and put your mask on, and then the following week you catch. I mean, I was saying, whoa. And then a lot of okay, I know I'm going back to the Million Man March, but the Million Man March reminded me of a scripture about the day of Pentecost. Because I thought the day of Pentecost was something different, and they all was in one place. And and the sound from heaven was the minister, his voice. And it sat upon each of them because they were out there, and they were, and they didn't know what was happening to them. They couldn't even describe it to me. The brother was just, he said, I don't know. It's just something happened on that ball. And the fact that before that, it was a lot of scuffles and fighting and backbiting, but afterwards, to clean it up, it wasn't like January the 6th. I mean, the brothers took over and people left town, and it was a black man's time, and I was so honored to see that. And I, for my family members to see it, to give them, I always tell my son, I'm giving you a different life. So when you go out there, you'll know that it is a different life that you can have, that you don't have to, succumb. And my son, the most beautiful thing he said to me, he said, well, Mama, when I've fallen, I had fallen down. He said, I remember my mother's voice. I said, I kept telling myself, this is not how my mama raised me. He said, and every time I said that, it brought me up, up from out of that, you know. Oh, and I think that was the most honor for me, because I always wanted to give Allah something back for his love and protection. And I gave him back my sons. You know, I gave, because he gave me them, but then I gave them back to him. You
Praise
know?
be to Allah. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Great. Okay, great. And my sister
Okay.
Miriam says, praise be to Allah. Thank you very much. Okay, wonderful. People showing you love. I can't wait to put this on YouTube. Last question for you, Sister Denice. What would you like your legacy to be?
My legacy. When I came into the mosque, they said, sister, what do you want to do? And I said, whatever I need to do. And when I opened myself up like that, you know, I was doing so much. I was doing prison ministry. Now that was a new area that I had never went into the prison, you know, and it was something working with our sisters in prison, and then the juvenile detention center, working with the young sisters in the juvenile, bringing a vanguard so they can see some young women for God. So my legacy, I hope, will be that whatever Allah will for me to be, I tried to do that, you know, and do it with love. You know, I just loved it, you know, and I've never, I don't want to go into that song. I never knew love like this before with Stephanie Mills, but I never knew love like this. And so this was a new kind of love. And that's what we need, you know, a new kind of love. Not that love that conditional, you know, on a condition, but that new kind of love.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That new man and that new woman with a new kind of love, with the mind of Christ in us for real.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Now this song that I never knew love like this before. This is like is that how it goes? The melody? Is that how the melody goes? I don't know how the melody goes.
Stephanie?
Yes, ma'am. Boom. Naima said so beautiful. That's why I'm in the singing mood today, y'all. I don't know why, but whatever. Yes, ma'am. Is that how it goes? Is that how the melody goes?
Yes, sir.
Is that how it goes?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mimi.
Somebody helping you out, Brother John?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, they just making sure I was, that I was on the right, singing the right song. Boom. Okay, great. Well, I want to thank you very much, Sister Denice. You've given us some amazing information as well as inspiration. I didn't know you worked in the prisons. That's amazing. And
yeah, it was amazing. Yes, sir. The group home and with the juvenile. Well, since I was doing the sisters, I wanted to do all aspects of them. You know, in the maximum security, the county jail, the juvenile detention center, out in Vandalia, wherever the women were. And that was a whole new territory for me, being part of the ministry in St. Louis, being part of the ministry staff. And I wanted to get out, because this is where the messengers say his followers were, out in the street. So, but I never been a out in the street type of person, but my family is streetish. if that's a word, Brother John.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I mean, they was seriously out there. But I learned, to be who you are, no matter where you at. Just
beautiful.
Let them know, and just that one drill, everywhere you go, people want to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Who you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Where you come from, John.
You teaching. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. So that always stayed with me, that they always want to know, and if we're not out there, how will they know?
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Excellent, excellent. While on People's Podcast, thank everyone who continue to watch and can't wait to put this on YouTube. And Sister Sonia said, yes, that was the melody. Boom. Exactly. Thank you very much. My sister Naima said, so beautiful. And please give your family greetings, your children, your grandchildren. And just thank you again. I'm learning so much about the believers from St. Louis that I didn't know before. So I look forward to meeting more of you all and interviewing more of you all.
Yes, sir.
This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Thank you very much.